have prepared an article, a paper on the German hyperinflation. Many years ago, I began to be interested in the greatest financial bubbles in the history. And 2 years ago, right here, I and another colleague of mine from Hayek Institute presented a paper on a so-called Mississippi scheme, one of the greatest bubble in the world, financial bubble in the world, that took place in France 300 years ago in 2021, created by a Scottish economist, John Lowe, who tried to create the first central bank in the history. Studying this greatest bubble in the world, we discovered a shocking one: the German hyperinflation. The German hyperinflation. We studied this bubble and discovered things, very interesting things. The main conclusion, because I have to say first of all, our conclusion that this shocking financial bubble, the German hyperinflation, was the consequence of a massive state intervention in economy. And this intervention was the abandonment of gold standard. As you already know, after 1871, the year in which Karl Menger published his very famous book, the many countries of Europe, in fact, the many countries in the world used as a monetary system the gold standard. But in 1914, Germany suspended the functioning of this very important monetary system, destroying, and that aspect is very important for me, destroying one of the most prosperous era in Europe history, so-called La Belle Époque. La Belle Époque was destroyed by this abandonment of gold standard. It's important to say, taking into account the title of our presentation, that during that period between 1871 and 1914, the Germany became the most important economic power in Europe. But after the assassination of Franz Ferdinand of Austria, Germany, Austria, and Hungary declared war on allied power, that is England, France, and Russia. And at that time, Germany had three alternatives: to avoid war, first of all, to avoid war. Second, to increase taxes in order to obtain money, additional funds to support this war effort. And third, to create inflation in order to obtain money to support war expenditures. Unfortunately, German politicians choose the third alternative, the worst of them. So, in August 4, 1914, Germany suspended the gold standard, that is, the Reichsbank. The Reichsbank refused to redeem his monetary certificates into gold. So, inflation became a political necessity. This expression, inflation as a political necessity, was created by the richest German of that age, Hugo Stinnes, I think I pronounced correctly, whose business boomed after the abandonment of gold standard, after the Reichsbank started to imprint, to create cheap money. Only between 1914 and 1918, the quantity of money in Germany was multiplied by 10. And for sure, the price began to rise, especially the food price, First of all, because of inflation. The second cause was that Allied power, England, France, and Russia, imposed a blockade on Germany, and Germany, at that time, in 1914, Germany imported a third of its food. So suddenly, the food quantity consumed by Germany decreased by 30%. Food became scarcer, and so its price increased once again. Another cause for this increase in food price was this. The farmers started to hoard or to keep and not to sell their products, because during a war, keeping and not selling the agricultural goods represent a way in which to fight against uncertainty generated by the war. Faced with a great increase in food prices, the German government decides to introduce a price ceiling, a maximum price. The price control represented the second, in our opinion, the second massive intervention after the abandonment of gold standard. The consequences of this state intervention was dramatic. Many farmers refused to produce and to sell agricultural goods. In many cases, the costs were higher than the control price, and cultivating land became unprofitable. The marginal farmers, the farmers that produce goods with a small margin of profit, stopped to cultivate these lands. Only in few years, because of this policy, because of this state intervention in the price of food, a third of agricultural land in Germany remained unused. This is another important cause of this huge increase in food prices. It's sure that it existed many other causes, but in our opinion, this was the most important. At the beginning of 1919, in markets of Berlin, for example, only cabbage and radishes could be bought. Many researchers, and this is dramatic because many researchers estimate that during this period between 1914 and 1923, in Germany, almost 800,000 people died for starvation due to this massive intervention, state intervention in the market of agricultural products. This number is higher than the number of people killed by bombs during the Second World War in Germany. In our opinion, this is one of the most dramatic effects finally produced by the abandonment of gold standard in 1914. But now let's come back to the direct effect of this relaxed monetary policy. One moment, please. So, as I said, in August 4, 1914, the exchange rate between Reichsmark and dollar was 1 to 4.2. In December 1923, the rate was this, 1 to, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. So the Reichsbank was unable to imprint such quantities of money, so asked for help, private companies to imprint. There are, during this period, that period in Germany where there were 2,000 printing press working only for Reichsbank to imprint money and to push this money into the economic system. As I already said, the quantity of money in Germany only between 1914 and 1918 was multiplied by tens. And at the end of 1920, this quantity reached this amount that is meant another multiplying by 3 in only 2 years. The quantity of money at the end of December 1923 was this. Please watch. Very important from our point of view is that, for example, in October and November 1923, the quantity of Reichsmark in circulation had doubled every 5 days, and the prices were multiplied by 4 in about the same time. For example, the prices rose so much that, for example, in Hamburg, the wage of a worker in Hamburg was this, 6.5 billion Reichsmarks a month. But this amount meant, at that time, a pound, only a pound. It was impossible to survive with a pound in Germany or in Hamburg. The cost of living index rose from 1 to 200,000 million. And Reichsmark was worthless. At the end of 1923, it was replaced by a new money called Rentenmark. So our conclusions. In fact, the German politicians tried to avoid the increasing taxes, but the hyperinflation, printing such quantities of money, acted as a hidden tax in order to support war expenses and very important, after 1919, after the Treaty of Versailles, pay war reparations. Initially, the money printed by central banks stimulated the economy, but eventually ruined it. The Austrian theory of business cycle described this phenomenon. And finally, the economic system was disorganized by this huge increasing of prices. And finally, this intervention, first of all, the abandonment of gold standard, and then the control of prices imposed by German government entirely destroyed the German economy and society. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mursa. Now, someone has a question here from the public. Okay, over there. Stand up to make the question.
Thank you for the talk. Do you know what the interest rate was during those days, and was there any government intervention into interest rates?
The amount of interest rate, I can't remember. I'm sorry. But as Austrian theory of business cycle explained, when the central bank pumped money in economy, the interest rate decreased because the decrease in the interest rate is used in order to finance the public expenditure.
Okay, thank you for the talk. Could you please tell us in a few words how the hyperinflation was finally overcome by those right-wing cabinets prior to Hitler, and by what means did they overcome the hyperinflation?
Is this a theory regarding many politicians, many thinkers believe that indeed the Hitler was the result of German hyperinflation. But let's remember that between Hitler and German hyperinflation there is a period of 10 years. It's important to note that German hyperinflation completely destroyed the economic system of Germany, but at the same time destroyed the cultural basis of German society. Is this true? Unfortunately.
Any other questions? I would like to quote something. In Brazil, we had hyperinflation in the 80s, and like they tried 5 times price control to finish the hyperinflation. And one of the ministers said that Brazilians didn't had patriotism, you know, in the price control. They tried to hunt even like cows in the country field, like, oh no, you are not selling at the control prices, we are going to catch them and sell them, like so stupid, but okay. Now we see in Latin America, it's so common, like Venezuela right now, prices are going so up.
The countries of Latin America are experts in hyperinflation.
Yeah. We don't have wars, but we have like our government, so it's almost the same.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.